Alrighty, hello and welcome to the Drive-Thru. I'm Paul,
I'm Dave.
and this week we're discussing episode 2 of Drive, Partners. This episode originally aired in Canada on April 13th, 2007, and April 15th, 2007 in the US. Viewership for this was approximately 6.02 million viewers, which was the same as the previous episode because, aired on the same day and all that. So now, I don't know if you remember, Dave, but what was the top movie at the box office this week?
April of that year. Nothing's immediately coming to mind, even from the last time we chatted about it.
Well, it has been a few weeks. So, it was a little movie called Disturbia, which was a PG-13 remake of Rear Window starring Shia LaBeouf. Or LaBeouf, I don't know how you say it.
I believe from the song it's LaBeouf.
Okay, well, there you go. So, number one song in America this week. April 2007.
That earworm has left my head. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, I wouldn't expect you to know it. It's called Don't Matter by Akon, and I don't know who that is or what that song is. So
It rings somewhat of a bell, but nothing to specifically recall his climb to fame or that song in particular.
Well, you know more than I do because I have no freaking idea. And finally, WWE champion at the time.
Oof.
2007.
I don't know what that brings. That was a couple weeks back. Possibly him? No.
It's somebody you would probably be familiar with. Namely because he was in a movie not long ago.
That is true. Just trying to get my names right. No. Come on. Brain, curse you! The only thing that's sticking in my head is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
No. Austin would have been retired by this time. It is John Cena.
It was Cena. It was there. It just never got the trumpets going within my head.
Yes, because he was in Suicide Squad, which you haven't. If somebody hasn't seen it who's listening to this, go watch Suicide Squad. It's great.
Duly noted.
Unless you're a child, then don't watch Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Because it is a very violent, very sweary movie.
Yes, because it has that rating for a reason.
It earns its R rating. Although it is very funny as well. Anyway, so this episode of Drive, I don't really have much of a plot synopsis, so we'll just kind of go through things. But Alex finds out he has more in common with Corinna than expected. Wendy must complete her penalty round by eliminating Ivy, and Jim continues to keep his cancer a secret from his daughter. So, what did you want to talk about with this episode, Dave?
This episode, I found it fairly interesting just with its development with the couple groups that we have noticed around, as well as getting a bit more story on other particular groups that were within. Father-daughter relationship where the father has medical condition specifically explained to us, and the concern that came up within the episode there was definitely interesting and had nice enough parallels to match up with the rest of the story. And of course, with the main group having their issue, as well as the intro to the episode kind of giving a little bit more story to it as the episode goes along, was very interesting to see.
Yeah, now, I haven't seen these episodes for at least 10 years, maybe longer. But the opening of the episode with the little girl, I'm like, oh, that's the chick that Alex is with.
Like, sort of an immediate sort of thing.
Like 15 seconds in, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what they're setting up.
No, in my case, it was the case of they gave the time and date and sort of thought, they kind of went specific with that. And then seeing the girl with the parents passing with that, it's like, oh, okay, that starts to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, Yeah, because this is 2007, so that would have taken place in 1980. And I don't know how old the actress is, but like the timing seems to line up pretty well.
Pretty accurately. Though the episode can't help but give you at least something else to chew on when the episode goes along, but maybe save that for a little bit later before getting to it.
Yeah. So there's not really a whole lot that kind of happens in this episode. We have the Wendy thing where she's supposed to eliminate Ivy, but like kind of doesn't, but does. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It kind of follows the specific rules that were laid out, which even then they were kind of vague.
Yeah.
Like, at the very most, two particular things popped into my head. It continues on the story with the particular character of, oh, she's either going to have to do something terrible or she's going to get knocked out, to, oh, she has this person along. How is this dynamic going to work along? While also eliminating specific people from the race in a way.
Yeah, so it seems like they wanted to put somebody else in the car with Wendy so that she has someone to like talk to, so she doesn't look like a crazy person. It just feels like it's done in kind of a clumsy way.
Yeah, and of course the other particular thing was, man, this episode would get a whole lot of backlash if it was released today.
What do you mean?
Just kind of the typical sort of case that they're starting to push away from, but the case of two black women getting eliminated from this particular episode is just,
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily... I mean, I'm sure somebody would get pissy about it, but I feel like most people would be like, eh. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
The time that we sort of live in now and what they've been pissy about now, it most likely would get on somebody's nerves.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but did you see the this is totally unrelated. Did you see the thing about AEW?
I think I caught a hint of that, but I haven't looked into the story.
Okay, so long story short, Tony Khan made a stupid tweet that he just shouldn't have made and kind of got roasted for it because he got super defensive about a former wrestler that he had signed, Big Swole, and she kind of said like, hey, maybe the diversity in your company isn't great, which I kind of don't agree with, because I'm like, look at the roster. And then he kind of sent out a tweet that was really dumb, where he's like, nah, but like there's me and there's other people, and you're not a very good wrestler. And it was just kind of like, what are you doing? But yeah, that became like a big thing. But yeah, it was kind of funny. I was like, well, this is just kind of all really stupid, guys. What are we doing? Can everybody just calm the fuck down? Thank you. Anyway.
Yeah.
We got
always a case with people. People are going to be stupid and people are going to be angry. Their reasoning is just going to be piled up on that.
Yeah, so was there anything else about this episode you wanted to bring up? Because I'm like, this episode's fine, but it's not like...
I think... No, I think mostly just the other particular detail of... There was only real focus with 3 of the groups, mostly, with 2 to 3 other groups kind of interspersed with everything, which... As it was, it makes perfect sense for everything. Main plot with the 2 pairs that we're following, 2 other ones that were kind of more side plot related, larger sort of case issue, and then 3 other ones that either mix in or another little plot that will supposedly be built up later on in the story.
Yeah, so they kind of always are going to focus on like 1 or 2 teams per episode, and then like there's going to be a few that are going to kind of like get a little bit of a opportunity but aren't going to be super focused on. I think it's a good way to kind of like make sure everybody kind of gets some time.
I'm thinking at the most just with the main story, with how they sort of went about it while I was watching it, it was kind of a case of you could have maybe reached this point a teeny bit quicker than you actually did. But I think it was more so to allow for the scene change, I suppose, to explain it, just for the argument that they had at the truck before the truck was stolen away from him, and then him trying to find them back and getting picked up by the truck to get to that particular point of things, just so that it could match up within all of the episode. At the time I was watching, it was kind of a case of you could have maybe cut a little bit of that out, but still on whole, thinking about it from now, it would still work from there. I think it was just a case of, and in the moment is kind of a case of that could maybe be fixed a bit, but on whole, it definitely worked, especially with the punch it gives you a bit at the end of the episode and just how everything else kind of resolves or returns to the status quo to continue the race.
Yeah, this was very much designed to be like the second part of the pilot. Like they're shown on the same night, so it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna set everything up in these 2 episodes and then kind of head out. But yeah. It's a fine episode, but it's definitely not the best one we're gonna get.
It also kind of additionally adds on to there's a lot of people that kind of know that this stuff is kind of going on, with the one waitress in the cafe at the start, where I think it's just a case that either the companies either went to her and let her know the situation, or they specifically placed her there to kind of direct people along or go on from there.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that she was like placed there, but that's just an assumption on my part. I don't have any.
Yeah, it's a question. It kind of gives a little bit more. The word. More that the company is doing it, since it's a case of there's specific sponsors related to each one of the racers that's going along from there that they show at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So if you don't have anything else to bring up about this one, we'll do a quick tease for next week. So next week the episode will be called Let the Games Begin. This episode actually aired the next day. It aired on the 16th, so that'll be interesting. And a little quick synopsis for what we're going to see. The race continues on the next stage. Alex meets an old acquaintance after getting in trouble with the police, while Wendy gets a new co-driver. So, dun. So until next time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.